This is the HSS Interactive Network. Welcome to this edition of Improvement in Action. I'm your host, Phil Nielsen. In this edition, we will explore how lean thinking is helping 3 different businesses become more competitive. First, let's look at a success story from American manufacturing. New Balance is a privately held company founded in 1906 as an arch support maker. Today, it has over 2,800 employees and $1.5 billion in sales. New Balance began its lean thinking transformation in 2003. They started in their 5 New England plants with a goal of improving product flow. John Wilson, the Executive Vice President of Manufacturing, explains the plants operated in a batch mode. That is, making one style of shoe for a while and then changing everything and make another style of shoe for a while. Wilson describes the first of 3 problems batch processing causes. We had piles of inventory between floors, between departments, and between operators. All of the partially finished shoes along the line were the second problem. The material and labor to create it represented costs that could not be recovered until the shoes were finally shipped to the customer. The third problem was timing. It took too long to make shoes. Retailers were not willing to wait days or weeks for their orders to ship. So New Balance created warehouses full of inventory, hoping the next order could be filled quickly. But often the inventory did not match the order, and the customer had to wait anyway. After applying lean thinking techniques, things are completely different. Production areas are organized around a family of products, each sharing similar materials and production steps. Wilson explains, we created flow by bringing the right quantity of operators and machines together to enable us to make and move one pair of shoes at a time. Switching from batches to one pair flow freed up space to store raw materials next to the production area. Inventory has shrunk by nearly 75%. The unneeded warehouse space is available for other uses, including production. There's one measure that clearly sums up the success of using lean thinking at New Balance. Before the changes, it took approximately 9 days to finish a single pair of shoes. Today, the average is 8 to 12 hours. Our second success story comes from the state of Iowa. In July of 2003, the Department of Natural Resources, known as the DNR, and 5 other government agencies elected to pilot the use of lean thinking. This was part of a larger effort to reduce bureaucracy, deliver measurable performance improvements, and reduce costs. In exchange for participating, these agencies received a temporary exemption from mandatory staff reductions. Using a variety of lean thinking techniques, DNR employees and leaders clarified who their customers were, what the customers needed, and what existing state laws or regulations actually required of the customers and DNR staff. The DNR staff chose to tackle the process of issuing air quality permits for new construction projects. The results of their hard work have been amazing, to say the least. It used to take an average of 62 days to issue a permit, and the backlog of permit applications hovered around 600. After a few false starts and major efforts to improve things for their customers, DNR reduced the 62-day wait time to just 6 days. They also eliminated the 600 application backlog. All of this was completed while complying with all applicable laws and administrative regulations. Teresa Hay McCann of the Iowa Department of Management says the DNR is the furthest along in adopting a lean culture focused on eliminating waste and improving flow. The final success story comes from the world of healthcare. In fact, this organization is a long-term HSS customer who uses several of our services. Denver Health Medical Center is a safety net facility. The majority of their income comes from Medicare, Medicaid, and other government programs, which have steadily reduced reimbursement rates. During this same time, the center has experienced a steady increase in persons seeking services. Decreased revenue and increased service demand is usually a recipe for disaster. But in the midst of all these challenges, CEO Dr. Patricia Gabot and her dedicated staff have managed to run in the black and even add new services. So how did they do it? The short answer is lean thinking. According to Chief Financial Officer Peg Burnett, since its lean conversion in 2005, the city's public health system has benefited to the tune of $54 million in increased revenue, money not spent, and expenses cut. Without those savings, Denver Health would absolutely have had to cut jobs, says Dr. Gabot. Lean thinking principles have been applied in all areas of the medical center. In the pharmacy, a centralized process for ordering asthma inhalers saves over $166,000 each year. Wait times for non-critical emergency room cases have decreased by 60%. Finally, the engineering department emptied all the individual stashes of pipe, tape, nuts, bolts, paint thinner, and other supplies from 20 different buildings. Everything was brought to headquarters to be sorted, labeled, and organized. Eliminating duplicate inventory and making what is available easy to obtain saved Denver Health over $600,000. Although these are impressive stories, they are only the tip of the iceberg. Organizations across America are speeding up, doing things right the first time, and generally eliminating waste in their processes. If you are an HSS leader, click on the Successful Lean Companies podcast in the discussion board of the Performance Improvement landing page. Or you can send me an email message at the address on the screen. Either way, I would love to hear from you. Well, that's it for this edition of Improvement in Action. Thanks for joining me, and goodbye for now.